NATO, close the sky! 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 NATO, close the sky!
NATO, close the sky!
NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky!
NATO, close the sky!
Нема України і слава, і воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
NATO, close the sky!
NATO, close the sky!
NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky! NATO, close the sky!
Hello, dear American diplomats. I hope you have had a good weekend, right? It was a good weekend. The weather was not so good, but maybe you have stayed somewhere again at some resort or at some spa. Maybe you sat in a restaurant and had a good dinner, right? As usually over the weekend. But for people in Ukraine, this was a very, very terrible weekend because you know that those victims of that massacre have been discovered in the town of Bucha. And this is a direct result of your cowardness, or to put it more politically correct, overcautiousness, as your general, the retired general, forgot his last name, has said, right? And yeah, because of this overcautiousness, of this cowardness, to put it bluntly, but rightly, those people have died, right? You have signed the Budapest Memorandum, I mean you, the Americans. You have promised to protect Ukrainian territorial integrity, to protect safety, and then, as we can see, this document was not worth anything. Even though, as you know, that even agreements made verbally are obliging. Agreements verbally made in presence of witnesses. Also, you know that even some documents which, like, for example, if you rent out your apartment and you just prepare a private agreement with someone and it's already admissible in a court. And also, you know that even a receipt at a Walmart or at another store is also a document and can be used to make some claims, right? And you are saying now that Budapest Memorandum is not really a document, even though it has signatures of your president, of the British Prime Minister, of the Russian president, right? You're saying this is not really a document, right? So it's just difficult to comprehend. Okay, I understand you are covered, but you're cowardly, but still, you trained together with Ukrainian forces to protect against an invasion, shoulder by shoulder at the Yavor training ground, just 20 kilometers from the Polish border. And you also, those Ospreys have been flying over Kyiv, and then you just fled, and not just fled, but the Russians have ordered you out of Ukraine, as I mentioned already many times. Putin just said, "Okay, take your stuff and get out," and then in Russian it sounds even more bluntly, so to say. And you just fled, and your president even said that, as I mentioned many times, if there would be a small invasion, there would be small sanctions. So this is what happened in Bucha, all those other terrible things which are happening in Mariupol, etc. It's also your failure, because you as diplomats, you could have worked harder. Instead of doing some other activities you've been doing here also in Krakow, you should be dedicated. You should have dedicated your full time at preventing wars, at making potential victims stronger, at protecting the basic human rights of those who don't have nothing to drink now, of those who have nothing to eat, of those who cannot give birth normally because they're being bombed, of those who cannot get medical care at hospitals right now. Those are basic human rights, most important human rights, right? It's on this Maslow scale, you know, this triangle. This is the very base of human rights, of human needs, right? And your self-actualization can be put somewhere else, right? Can be put off because the basic human rights are not being satisfied. And the humans, all humans are equal around the world. So you cannot think about your self-actualizations and other problems of the period of the so-called end of history, but you should think about basic human rights of all human beings satisfied, about their right to drink, their right to eat, their right to give birth, their right to go to school, their right to get medical care. These are basic human rights. So now you should go, your president should go to Bucha and take a look at the results of this inactivity, of this hesitancy, of this overcautiousness. Yeah. But still, as we know, that the things past cannot be changed. But let's look in the future. There is still some possibility to help those who are still alive, who are still not, who have not died yet, right? Because Russians are going to continue their relentless attack. They are going to attack now from the east, right? So please do more. Like you already are so hesitant. It's the whole world is just wondering that private citizens, like we are protesting there daily at the main square. Private Americans are coming and they're saying, we are supporting Ukraine. It's our government. It's our government which doesn't act. But we as private Americans, we are all for Ukraine. We would like some even go to fight in Ukraine. So how come your government doesn't listen to their own American people? I just don't understand how you can face your electoral base, right? Those people who vote for you. It's just impossible to imagine how you are going to explain those things, this inaction, when you are going to be criticized before the next election. At least think about your election if you are not thinking about the human rights. Thank you very much for your attention.